Cyber risk is a very unique type of risks in the universe of risks affecting the financial sector. It is constantly evolving, changing risk profiles and attack vectors. And within this constant evolution, digital innovations pose a particular challenge because they increase the speed of evolution, they bring in new elements, some of which may actually enhance cyber resilience, but others pose challenges. And given that the financial sector remains an attractive target due to the high values that it is concentrating and also the potential risk for widespread disruption to the economy, it remains a primary target for bad actors, private or state-sponsored, who try to exploit new vulnerabilities posed by digitization. Just as a practical example, we recently had a case of a cyber attack on a small service provider, a relatively new startup company, not so much known, who was actually serving as a service provider to financial institutions, helping them to access financial infrastructures, supporting their management of trades, and this entity had become victim to ransomware attack. Basically, all its activities were blocked, and it suddenly became obvious about the sheer number of institutions relying on its service. These were banks and other financial entities who basically were unable to continue to execute and service the trades that they had on financial market infrastructures. Some of them were able to resort back to manual handling. Others actually could fall back on their old legacy systems, primarily because they had not yet decommissioned them and were able to revitalize those modes of access. But many were disrupted for a prolonged period. And this is a very good example how a new player who is actually relying to a large degree on new technologies could disrupt widespread the financial sector to the sheer number of concentration and reliance of financial institutions on such a single player. So digital innovation is posing particular challenges from a cyber resilience point of view. The key features that you can see are automatization, distribution, decentralization, which entail a number of very particular elements, to the extent that you have new services which rely on a multiplicity of players, where, for example, the case of distributed ledgers, everybody could access the ledger as an entry point. You increase the attack surface. All those entry points are potential way for a cyber criminal to enter the system. At the same time, some of those new players are unregulated, and to the extent that they introduce automated high-speed processes, the speed of propagation also increases. Similarly, digital innovation leads to a higher interconnectedness in the financial markets. And to the extent that there is an increased reliance on critical service providers, such as cloud providers or the providers of distributed ledger technology, you have single points of failure, where an attack on such a critical service actually affects widespread the financial sector. The layering of services and the fragmentation that this entails has particular challenges from a risk management perspective and also from the way regulation and supervision needs to be structured. So this is perhaps one of the key elements here to look forward as the industry, as the technology is evolving. You need to be agile also on the regulatory and supervisory side, adapt, have a holistic perspective across the full range of the ecosystem, not just the traditional supervised financial institutions, but also potentially unregulated technology firms, service providers, startups, fintechs. That entails new approaches to supervision. You need to collaborate with the private sector to understand the new technologies, collaborate across authorities, both domestic but also cross-border. And that in itself is something where probably there is a big challenge within Europe. We see promising developments, for example, through the new DORA framework, which takes up some of those challenges. But at the same time, digitization is a global phenomenon. So you also need to have global solutions, which requires enhanced efforts on the side of global standard setters.